Hi, welcome to Katy on the Farm. I'm Katy. I'm a homesteader, a writer, and an advocate for ethical and local food. Join me as each week we explore food in our region from the soil to your plate here on Katy on the Farm.
Camping World of Valdosta, located in Lake Park, is your one-stop destination for all your camping needs. Stop by to see your dreams of quality time with your family become a reality. Whether it's tailgating with your air-conditioned camper, taking a trip to the mountains or beach with your family, or driving your motorhome to a faraway destination, Camping World has it all. Let us put you and your family in a camper for as little as $99 per month. And remember, when you buy a camper from Camping World of Valdosta, you receive a free Elite Good Sam membership, roadside assistance, and travel assist for 1 year.
Carter's Fried Chicken in Homerville has become the gold standard for fried chicken barbecue and catering. Carter's also offers a full menu of other tasty items and is open on Sunday. Thanks, Chad Brown, for making dining at Carter's a family tradition in Homerville. Go Panthers!
Welcome to another episode of Katy on the Farm. Today we're in Bluffton, Georgia at White Oak Pastures. We're here to visit my friend Bilal Sawari as we go through the gardens, the historic general store, and anything else they're willing to share with us. I'm super excited. And oh, here comes Bilal now. Good morning,
Hey,
Bilal.
Katy,
how are you?
It's good to see you.
You too. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, it's great that you're here.
Thank you. I'm really excited. White Oak is kind of an epic thing for South Georgia in particular. We're really proud, and I see your labels in grocery stores and all over the place.
Thank you.
Would you give us an idea of what White Oak is and a little bit of its history?
Well, White Oak Pastures is Georgia's largest organic farm. The Harris family has been farming here in Bluffton for over 150 years.
Wow.
Yeah, we actually opened the general store on our 150th anniversary.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Thanks.
All right, and it's the same family that's running it now.
Same family. Yeah.
But much, much larger.
Much larger.
All right, well, that's really interesting. I know that I've seen you speak, and I know that this was conventionally farmed, but
It was.
There's been a long and really careful process to transition over to organic.
That's
Can you
true.
tell us anything about that?
So what we tried to do is we tried to diversify what we do. We used to just be a cattle farm. We raised young calves to be sent off to concentrated animal feedlot operations until Will Harris finally had enough. He was disgusted with the inputs that had to go into that, the excess, the waste. And now we have successfully converted to a zero waste farm.
Wow, zero waste.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to learn all about this. All right, well, will you show us around?
Absolutely, let's go.
Bilal, where are we?
Katy, before we go to the gardens, I really wanted to show you our hide barn. Our farm is zero waste, so every single department that we have here on the farm is interconnected. One can't work without the other. So I always love to say that a natural extension of a meat farm is an organic garden, and we'll talk about that more later. But what we don't use for food, we turn into tallow goods, pet shoes, leather goods right here in this hide barn.
Excellent. Can we take a look?
Yeah, let's
All
go.
right. I'm here in the general store at White Oak Pastures with Jody Harris Benoit, one of Will Harris's daughters, and she runs this fantastic store. Jody, thanks for having us today.
Thank you for coming.
Absolutely. Now, would you mind telling us a little bit about the history of this store and then maybe some of the things that you're selling?
Absolutely. So this store was built in the mid-1800s. Fast forward some years, a guy named Herman Bass owned it before us. He closed the doors in 1968 and literally walked away and never came back. And so he left all of the old inventory here on the shelves, hats, shoes, medicines, old Coke bottles, you name it, it was here. And so we went through it all, which was really fun. Saved a lot of it to use as, just display. And today we stock it with Georgia-grown goods, as well as everything that we produce here on the farm. So anywhere from the leather items that come from the cattle, or the tallow goods, honey, pet chews, candles, you name it, we produce it and sell it. And so we're proud to be here in the city of Bluffton. That you haven't been able to buy a loaf of bread in Bluffton in 40 years. And so even just having a store here to serve our community has been such a blessing.
Yes, and such a fantastic one is that. I can't wait to do some shopping today. I'm noticing these fun pet shoes behind you, and
Yes.
I know Bilal had told us that it's a zero waste farm.
It is.
And so this has got to be part of that program, because there's tracheas over here. What all have you got here? You've got a poultry platter.
Yes,
I see.
we've got tracheas, esophagus, pizzles, chicken gizzards, chicken jerky, chicken feet, trachea bites, goat tails, goat peppers.
Wow.
Anything. So anything that we can save from that animal to smoke and dehydrate to make into a pet cheese, we absolutely do it. And pets love it. Dogs go crazy over it.
I love it. That is such a fantastic idea, and I love that you guys are zero waste. Let's continue to take a look around. Jody, thank you so much for talking with us today.
Yeah.
We are here with the lead craftswoman from White Oak Pastures. What am I looking at in here?
This is our leather studio. I am Elena Ivachenko, and this is our hide barn. So we do a lot of closed loops here at White Oak. There's a lot of waste that comes from the meat industry, and we like to make sure that we get rid of those. So we try and use all of our products. So this room right here, I do all of the leather work. So we get the hides. Over here, we've got a lot that are hair on. We use those for rugs, but then I primarily work with hair off leather. So over here, we've got a bunch of different things happening. This is what the hair off leather tends to look like. It's white for the most part. It's called the wet blue stage of leather. So here we will cut it. So I've got different patterns for the variety of accessories that we make. And then over here we hand dye it, water-based dyes. And then after that I've got an awesome sewing machine over there. It sews through super thick leather, which we definitely have. And then I do different types of hardware and things like that to kind of finish up the accessories. But that's what this room is. We've got a lot more happening in the back. Over here, this is our tallow kitchen. So one of the other products that we have from the meat process is we have a lot of beef fat. So with that, you render it, make it into tallow, and then with tallow, it's a really great product to use in candles, in lotions, soap. That's a pretty typical one. It's kind of like an old school recipe that uses tallow, but we do that. And over there, we've got Ivy. She does all of that here. And then in the very back, which you can't see right now, we do all of our pet treats. So another way that we use the hides, so you can do leather with the hides, but you can also do raw hides, which a lot of people are familiar with. You can buy them in pet stores, they're all over the place. But the ones that we do, we don't process them very heavily. So a lot of raw hides that you see are white, they're almost bleached. They go through a lot of different like preservative processes, bleaching to just make it something that can be commercially sold, and people expect, I don't know, a certain level of quality. They don't want any little pieces of meat or like little fat or whatever. They want it to be kind of uniform. Right. With us, as you can tell, we're very much like hands-on, handcrafted, and so you get that with our raw hides. So those, the hair comes off of them, we soak them, scrape the hair off, and then they're either cut into rolls or into squares for the dogs to chew on. But all that happens is that soaking and the drying. There's nothing else that goes into it. So if you were to look at some of the ones drying out there, you can see the hand scraping that we do on it, which is great. And dogs actually love the little fat and the little pieces that are left over on it. And then another thing that we also do is there's a lot of different pieces of the cow that we can't use for anything. So trachea, esophagus, pig ears, snouts, livers, kidneys, all of those things. We can dehydrate them. And they're super nutrient rich. They have a lot of iron, a lot of different things, and dogs love them, which is a little gross, but they love gross things, so it works out. Right. So that's another thing that we do in the back. We actually have 2 dehydrators back there that we do those in. But yeah, so this is kind of our whole building where we use everything.
That's fantastic.
yeah.
Thank you so much for showing us
Yeah,
around and
no
telling us
problem.
about those processes. All right, have a good day.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Katy Rogers. I hope you'll be right back after this message to join me.
Since 1972, Popeyes has been serving up mouth-watering, delicious, hot and mild fried chicken and chicken tenders from its Louisiana kitchen. You know about our great chicken, but have you tried our tasty seafood? All of our menu items come with a Southern style all their own. On your way to or after the game, stop by Popeyes and remember we can handle all your special event catering needs. Conveniently located on Memorial Drive in Waycross, Popeyes puts a piece of Louisiana in every single meal.
Well, the greenhouses are gorgeous.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about what you're doing, because I see there's a big difference between the soil in the new one and the soil behind us.
So before we get started with anything, we try to use animal impact to help improve the soil. That's a really simple way of saying that their hooves turn up the soil, hogs use their noses to root up the weeds, and their manure adds a level of richness and fertility to the soil that we really couldn't duplicate on our own. So before I even had my crew through here at all, we let hogs come through here and turn up all the soil, get rid of all of the weeds. Beforehand, the soil was pretty sandy, pretty loose, didn't hold water well, very low in microbial life. So we hauled in 40,000 pounds of compost that we generate here on site, and then work that into the soil with a BCS, which is just a small garden tiller. After tilling it in, that is the last time that I want to till. So we weed everything by hand. We try to promote a lot of fungi and bacteria in the soil to help stitch the soil together and make nutrients available to the plants naturally.
Excellent, excellent. Well, there is a distinct difference between the two. I can appreciate that. And you've got some gorgeous stuff growing in here. Tell me a little about what's growing right now.
Well, I can tell you, I moved here from a city, and I have always been a city gardener, and planting things here is a lot different than planting things in a city. Things grow 3 times as fast, 3 times as big. The Appalachian Mountains go subterranean right underneath Bluffton, which adds a level of mineral wealth to the soil that's pretty rare in Georgia. So we're very blessed to farm here. Here we have some lacinato kale, also known as dino kale. Broccoli, we let some of our broccoli go to flower and sell the flowers as edible flowers. They're really good. They have just a milder broccoli flavor to them. Swiss chard, which I love, but it's a learning curve for me. Not everyone in the South loves Swiss chard. I just assumed, joke's on me. But the kitchen is amazing. They help support me. So what I'm not able to sell in the general store or as a food or a dish in our restaurant, our chefs are able to take all of my excess, blanch it, chop it up, and freeze it. And now very soon we'll be selling produce from the garden as bagged frozen produce in our online store.
Oh, excellent, in the online store.
Yeah.
So where do people go to get access to the products from White Oak Pastures? I've seen the label all
Right.
over.
You have a lot of options. For meat, you can go to Publix, Kroger, Whole Foods, Earth Fare, and they will sell our beef primarily. And Whole Foods will also sell our chicken and eggs as well. In terms of produce, you can order it frozen online or visit us here on the farm, where we sell it fresh in the general store.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you so much for showing us
Yeah,
this.
absolutely. We're really proud of our high tunnels.
Hi, I'm Katy Rogers. I hope you'll be right back after this message to join me.
Lee Engineering and Construction Company in DuPont, Georgia has been a part of the community since 1935 and is proud to support Clinch County athletics. The prayer of the entire Lee Engineering family is that our Lord and Savior will richly bless our schools, community, and nation.
Camping World of Valdosta, located in Lake Park, is your one-stop destination for all your camping needs. Stop by to see your dreams of quality time with your family become a reality. Whether it's tailgating with your air-conditioned camper, taking a trip to the mountains or beach with your family, or driving your motorhome to a faraway destination, Camping World has it all. Let us put you and your family in a camper for as little as $99 per month. And remember, when you buy a camper from Camping World of Valdosta, you receive a free Elite Good Sam membership, roadside assistance, and travel assist for 1 year.
Bilal, I love these gardens. Tell me what I'm looking at here.
So what you're looking at here is our organic garden. This used to be called Indigo Pasture because the previous owners named it that. So we still lovingly call it Indigo, even though we're still right here at White Oak Pastures. This section of the garden is our herb garden. Over the winter, we plant greens here like kale, collards, cabbage, just as a placeholder to kind of hold the soil down. I mentioned before that we don't like to till here to maintain the bright microbial life here in the soil. So to keep myself honest, after we amend heavily with compost, we bind the sides of a garden in with perennials. So right now we're standing next to one of our brand new blueberry shrubs. This is going to spend the first year just establishing itself. I'm not going to expect a lot of fruit out of it, but I'm just going to give it the time it needs to grow, get its roots out. Blueberries are great in that they form a thick mat of roots. So eventually this whole 300-foot row is going to form like a nice dense network that will be a safe haven for microbes, for fungi, for bacteria. And as I mentioned before, we amend heavily with compost, so nice, loose, and rich. We use leftover cardboard from our shipping, free of any printed inks or wax, and lay it down along the borders of our garden, and then use composted peanut hulls. We're in peanut country right now, so there's an abundance of it as a mulch.
Absolutely. And how long is this composted before you put it down?
About 4 years. We want any residual pesticides or herbicides to be completely denatured before we introduce it into an organic system.
And yet it still has structure.
It does, yeah. It's incredible how well it holds its shape, which also makes it a great mulch.
Absolutely, absolutely, and helps prevent the moisture from leaving the soil on these hot Georgia summer days when everything's baking, right?
Yeah.
I love it. So what's in the ground right now behind me?
So right now we have some kale, we have some champion collards, which are doing very well. Champion is the variety. Garlic chives, oregano. We have some baby rosemary plants that we just put in the ground. The other day in the garden, my crew and I were out here harvesting, and we noticed that the wind was really just drying everything out. So we just put in a row of methley plum trees. Methley is a variety that does really well here in Georgia. So we just sunk these in the ground. We're gonna let these grow wide and strong, and then we'll hopefully, in theory, provide just a bit of a windbreak. You might have noticed my crew here is amazing. I can't take a lot of credit for anything. They're the hard workers here, and we weed by hand in this plot. So this little plot is our pride and joy. We are letting the soil just kind of regenerate from being conventionally farmed years ago, and trying to introduce earthworms and just other beneficial insects.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you for sharing all of this with us. How exactly did you come to be part of this great enterprise?
That is a bit of a story.
Well, tell us.
After college, Jenny and I became really good friends. Jenny Harris is Will Harris's daughter.
Okay.
And so Will Harris is the owner of White Oak Pastures, and his family has been farming here for several generations. Jenny and I eventually served on the board of Slow Food Atlanta together. Slow Food is an international nonprofit. Slow Food Atlanta is a branch of Slow Food USA. Gotcha. We served for years together, became fast friends. Eventually, they needed someone to help represent them in the city of Atlanta. And so for about 3 years, I did that. Alongside that, I ran a therapeutic gardening program. So my passion is where environmental sustainability and human health interact. Trying to follow that passion, I was applying to medical school in Philly maybe about 9 months ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and Will and Jenny gave me a call one day and asked me to come home, to come back to Georgia. And beyond Atlanta, they asked me to come here to Bluffton to take over the organic gardens. I couldn't refuse the offer. A lot of people tell me that I've completely branched away from health, but I really think I'm following the same path. My whole goal is to help keep people from getting sick in the first place, and it's my sincere belief that eating well and taking care of the soil will directly result in a healthier human.
Absolutely. This is that geographic and ethical intersection that you were looking for.
Yep.
Very literally. Very cool. Okay, so I'm guessing that this adorable creature is not here for looks.
Well, maybe for looks and something else.
Okay.
I mentioned before that animal impact is a big part of what we do. So specifically in the organic garden at White Oak Pastures, we try to mimic what goes on in the rest of the farm. We're the only farm in the nation that raises 10 different species of animals on site, humanely hand butchers them on site, all under USDA inspection. So
Wow.
we try to do it right from the beginning to the end. In the garden, what we like to do is we have these little runners here with one rabbit in each one. The bottom, if you look right now, is open with slats, with wooden slats. This field right now is a mix of weeds and cover crop, and instead of me coming through with the tiller, we come through with runners. And so the rabbits will actually eat all of the greens underneath their feet, and then we can come up through here and then drag the runner up, just one person at a time.
Oh,
and
wow.
move them up to the next section. The benefit of that is they've left all of their manure in the track behind them, and in a couple months, this whole field will be completely fertilized and then ready for planting.
Wow, so they'll take all these weeds and just turn it into a fertilized field.
Just like that.
That's fantastic. That's worth a little tugging on that runner.
A little bit, yeah.
Absolutely. Hi, I'm Katy Rogers. I hope you'll be right back after this message to join me.
Subway, the Corner Pantry, and the Argyle Food Market are locally owned by Mr. Nick Patel, who thanks the Clinch County Homerville communities for all their support. Subway, located on West Dame Avenue in Homerville, is the go-to place for nutritious, healthy food, and Subway also serves a delicious breakfast each morning. We have catering platters to meet all your tailgating needs. Don't forget to drop by the Corner Pantry in Homerville and the Argyle Food Market in Argyle and pick up all the items you need at the best discount prices in Clinch County.
Lutz, Brown, Piegler, and Manley Insurance Agency is locally owned, has been a part of the Homerville, Clinch County community for many years. Jeff Brown and Eric Lutz make it a priority to know their clients on a personal basis and take pride in customizing insurance coverage for the particular needs of each customer. They offer all lines of insurance, including auto, home, business, life insurance, annuities, and bonds. Lutz, Brown, Piegler, and Manley Insurance Agency, East Dame Avenue, Homerville.
So this is gorgeous, but I know that it's serving a purpose. So can you tell me a little about your cover cropping here?
Yes, of course. So instead of trying to till everything in at the end of the year, what we try to do is use well-timed cover crops. What you have in your hand right now is called crimson clover. Clover is a legume, so it has beneficial bacteria or symbiotic bacteria in little nodules in the roots that help fix nitrogen from the air and then into the soil. So the symbiosis comes when the plant supplies valuable sugars to that bacteria, and then in turn the bacteria provides nitrogen. We allow the crimson clover to grow here, and then eventually we'll mow it down and then add that nitrogen back into the soil. Another benefit you might see all the way back there, we have a couple of beehives. On this farm we also raise bees, and bees love clover. So it all is a cycle that works together.
A great relationship. And this is also trapping the CO2 and returning it back into the soil, yeah?
Correct.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
A big part of what we do is we're trying to sequester carbon into the soil where it will do the most good instead of having it up in the air. Another downfall for tilling is that you're releasing a lot of that carbon as gas. So by converting to no-till, we're eventually hoping to lock in as much carbon into the soil and then eventually turn it into food.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Ag is the solution. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so here we are in a greenhouse surrounded by more varieties of tomatoes than I've ever seen in one place. What's going on in here? Are you guys starting all of your plants from seed?
We do start most of our plants from seed, that's correct. We will order rootstock sometimes depending on the plant. Biodiversity is a big deal for us, so we try to mimic in the organic garden what goes on the rest of the farm. We have 5 different types of poultry, 5 different types of red meat that we raise here on the farm. We maintain a lot of diversity in our pastures, so in the gardens we maintain a lot of diversity as well. We are currently growing about 25 different varieties of tomatoes, mostly because I have something to prove, and also because people love tomatoes, and I don't like to spray that much, even when it's an organic herbicide or pesticide. So what I'm trying to do here is find which variety of tomato is doing the best here in our Southwest Georgia climate.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I've heard Will say that nature abhors monoculture.
That's
So
correct.
I have not seen any sign of monoculture on this giant farm. It's fantastic.
And you know, if we wanted to, we could grow acres and acres and acres of tomatoes and still be very profitable. I could sell them on a wholesale market, organic, sustainable, local.
Right.
But would it be the most efficient way of doing things? Probably. Would it be the most profitable? Probably. But would it be the most compassionate or thoughtful or sustainable way of farming? Absolutely not. So every time I make any decision on the farm, if I'm planting an azalea shrub that's native to Georgia out near the general store, I'm trying to think about the social, the economic, and the environmental impact of everything that we do. And it's that way that we can create a truly sustainable system.
Absolutely. And regenerative.
Correct.
All right. So what's happening behind us?
This is a really cool project that we introduced a few years ago. This is a photovoltaic array or a solar panel array that was made for us by Hanna Solar, a great company. This photovoltaic array supplies 30% of the energy for the processing plant that we use to humanely hand butcher all of our animals. So not only are we trying to be sustainable in the way we farm, but we're also trying to be sustainable in terms of the inputs that come into the farm. Something I would encourage anyone to do if they are a farmer or a residential person trying to bring solar panels into their lives, raise them up above the ground. You can see that we put them up high, and that's given us ample storage and shade right underneath. When we introduce these out to the pastures, we are going to put them high up. The grass will still be able to grow underneath, and will also provide shade for our animals, which is really important in South Georgia.
Absolutely it is. Everything down here needs a break from the intense sun that we
Just a
are
little
so
bit.
blessed to have in South Georgia. And that's brilliant. I know I've seen that in other design and permaculture systems in the cities where they put the panels on top of things, right?
Exactly.
And so I'm really glad to see that. I'd hate to see all of this pasture space wasted.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you.
Of course.
So we're standing here in what you've called the pollinator garden. There seems to be a little more to that story.
Yeah, you know, I used to work as a farm ambassador for White Oak Pastures. I represented the farm's interests in the city of Atlanta, helped manage our charitable giving. I served as a liaison with our distributors. I worked our farmers markets, did demos in Whole Foods and other
Right.
grocery stores. So I felt like I didn't have a deep enough connection to the farm. So I, on my own dime, went out and found great pollinator plants over the course of a summer and introduced this garden right out here outside of our pavilion, which is our on-site restaurant. We have a few fruiting trees like a pomegranate, black and blue sage, butterfly bushes, and I'm pretty convinced that's what got me the job. So I'm really glad I made a gift.
Absolutely. Well, good job. It is beautiful. We are so excited about what you guys are doing here. Thank you so much for showing us around.
Thanks
Wall.
for coming out. I appreciate it.
Wow, we have had a fantastic day here at White Oak Pastures in Bluffton, Georgia, and I'm so glad you could come along as we toured the facilities with Bilal and getting to talk to so many of the staff here. I hope you'll watch for their label, available at Publix, Kroger, Whole Foods, Earth Fare, and at whiteoakpastures.com. Thanks for coming along, guys. Join us next week as we visit the Farmer and the Larder in Brunswick, Georgia, and get to cook with chef farmer Matthew Rayford and experience all the wealth of knowledge that is Yvonne Sage and her larder. And thanks for being a part of Katy on the Farm.
Thank you for watching CreekboxTV.